Hi. Hello. Hey, everybody. Hi. How's it going? Hey, everybody. What are you up to? Are you awake? Hello. Wake up. Oh, hey, everybody. Hi. How's it going? Kirk Douglas passed away. He was the oldest or second oldest Hollywood legend. The oldest. And he could have maybe even looked a little younger if he didn't get in some accidents later in life. He could have been more mobile, but he was in a wheelchair I think most of the time. Every time I've seen him, he was like at some stuff and he died. He's like the oldest famous Hollywood actor, big actor. Um, I'll show you some. I'll read some. I'll read his Wikipedia page for you. Kirk Douglas, born Isser Danielovich. He was Jewish, I believe. Born on December 9th. That's when Rowan and Ivan's baby sister was born. 1916. He was born 1916. She was born 100 years after he was born. 100 years after he was born. She was born on December 9th, 2016. Wow. Then anyway, they don't know if she's going to be an actress or not, but she already has millions of views. The baby, Rowan and Ivan's baby sister, my son's Rowan and Ivan. Their baby sister, Ayla. She has millions of views. I don't know how many, but she's on their mom's page. I'd like to go hang out with them. We were going to make my son Rowan, when he was the only one, we were going to make him we were going to help him to be a big actor. We thought, why would he not want to be? Because that's what we had tried. So we had worked so hard at for so long. And instead, YouTube came along, and we had settled into our hometown anyway to raise a family. And conveniently enough, that was at the end of 2005, and that's when YouTube, well, actually MySpace started. We got on MySpace. We didn't have it when we were in California those years, going to film school, making films and stuff like that. And we moved back to our hometown. Out of nowhere, MySpace showed up right when we got there, pretty much. We started doing MySpace. I added back then, I added like 30,000 friends or something. But this is Michael Douglas's father, Kirk Douglas. And we're like an acting movie family. What we did, they did YouTube more, but I did movies. And we're still trying to get them into movies and stuff. But if it's not morally okay, then I don't want to do that stuff. So, there's people who think it's like not as morally correct in my family and stuff, or friends. I don't know who. I think they think like, stop trying to be a attention seeker or something like that. I'm just doing this because I'm in a good mood, and I happened to see that Kirk Douglas passed away. He lived a really long life. He was the apparently oldest living Hollywood legend or actor. Besides, there's this one other guy. There's this one other actor. I'll find it here. His name's like Lloyd something or another. Or something Lloyd. Norman Lloyd. He's still alive. Norman Lloyd. I'm logging. I'm going to see how popular Norman Lloyd is. I think Kirk Douglas was way more popular. Norman Lloyd is the oldest living Hollywood actor of today, and he's 103. And Kirk Douglas just died at 103, and was the oldest or second oldest. This guy was less popular than Kirk Douglas. So Kirk Douglas was like the most popular, oldest actor living. And Norman Lloyd, he's the oldest living one. He's still alive. He did these other things. Anyway, Kirk Douglas passed away. He was a big actor, big famous actor, and he died. He just died. He passed away. Kirk Douglas. He was in some big budget movies. He was in Spartacus. It is a very violent movie, maybe sacrilegious, but it was a big budget one that he was known for. I'm not really into it that much, probably. I don't know. I'd have to see it. But I was aware that he did that. Spartacus. It was like $100 and something million, $100 million budget. Back then it cost $12 million, but for today's standards it was $100 million. And back then they used to not have really big budget ones or something huge like they do nowadays. Like with like when they started with Lord of the Rings, I think that was the biggest budget one that they came out with in 2001 or something. But this is Kirk Douglas. He passed away. You've probably seen him with Michael Douglas, his son, and Catherine Zeta-Jones. He was 103. He passed away. I used his face on an app thing, face something or another, and did a Whoopi Goldberg skit and pretended like she was Illuminati. And I've never worked with any of those people. He hasn't done a movie since I think 2008 or 2009. I've been working in real estate with my parents a little bit and haven't done movies for a while. I haven't done movies since 2014. I did a bunch of music videos, and before that, the year before, I did the Rednecks movie. But that I wanted to get Danica to star in it, but something went wrong and she couldn't star in it. So I got some random person that was just like a kind of like a distant it's somebody else I don't even know that well. I don't know. That was somebody else. Anyway, I'm gonna look up Kirk Douglas on Instagram. See if he had an Instagram. Oh yeah, he had an Instagram page. Oh no, he didn't. It's some young black guy named Kirk. Kirk Douglas. People tagged him and stuff on Instagram. I'm looking on his Instagram page. Wow. Okay, they said bye to Kirk Douglas. Okay, I'm going to read you his Wikipedia or his IMDb. Here's his IMDb page. He was an actor, producer. He's known for actually that big budget one that was violent. They had him crucified or something in it. Spartacus. That was this big one that I had seen him in. Huge budget, all these like 1,000 extras or hundreds of extras and maybe thousands of extras or something. But even the hundreds of extras, that's not. I don't know if it was bad or good. I'd have to see what it was about, but I have a feeling that was like a violent war type of one. Anyway, he wrote something and starred as himself in 2009. Kirk Douglas, Before I Forgot. I guess he had something related to his memory. And he was in a plane crash or something like that later in life. After barely surviving a helicopter crash in 1991, and then suffering a stroke, like Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. I don't think there's anything wrong with a helicopter, unless some people are so religious they think it has the word hell in it, and they don't want like hello or hi. Choose between one of those and another. It's like someone else in my videos thought that there are evil things in all the human language and you just can't escape it, part of being alive. I think that's just sin. That's just sin anyway. But I don't know what he was like, religiously or spiritually, but that's what he dedicated the last part of his life to. So I can try to find out. I'll try to read what that was about. After barely surviving a helicopter crash in 1991, then suffering a stroke in 1996, he focused on renewing his spiritual and religious life. He lived with his second wife of 65 years, Ann Boydens. She's still alive. He lived with her until he just died yesterday, February 5th, 2020, at age 103. It says he lived with her. His second wife, Ann Boydens. Whoa. She looks kind of, I don't know. Ann Boydens. She was a philanthropist, producer, and occasional actress. Maybe from a very wealthy family or something. Or just was a producer. I don't know exactly how she got her start. But Kirk Douglas, it says here, he was all those things too, but he had an impoverished childhood with immigrant parents and 6 sisters. And they were Jewish, I believe. I'm not sure, but I think they were Jewish. And that was at a time when Hollywood was really pretty new. And I guess he got into it because he was born in 1916. So I guess he got into Hollywood at a time when the Jews happened to be getting into that stuff. And he just happened to be one of the biggest ones, or the biggest one, something like that. He made his film debut. My grandfather did something similar. He was Irish. My grandfather did something similar. He was Irish and became a policeman back then. And he worked his way up the ranks in the police and was a very powerful policeman. I didn't know it growing up. They just said he was a policeman. He lived in a regular home and he wasn't like really wealthy or anything like that. And so he maybe was in the right place at the right time, or he was really responsible for making the everything what it became. Like he was one of those original people as a Jew, and he went out there and met other Jewish people and helped make it what it was. Or he was under such extraordinary pressure that he had no other choice. Rather than let it kill him or something, he got stronger or something like that. Who knows? But I think he was Jewish. I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure. Kirk Douglas. I don't know if that has to do with anything, but I'm just wondering if he happens to be Jewish, which doesn't make that much of a difference, but he was born Isser Danielevich Dembski to penniless Jewish immigrants in the city of Amsterdam, New York State. That was in New York. He was born in America. in a city called Amsterdam in 1916. His father had fled Russia to escape conscription into Tsar's army. Which who knows politically what that could have stood for back then. He may not have been someone escaping the draft or something like that. It could have been something different. And with how political things were back then, people in their hundreds or in close to about like 100 years old or over more than 100 usually had to live through a war or very scary times, something like that. But they, all the ones who are still alive, they made it. The chances of people could die for many things, so there's all sorts of different things. But America's been okay in America for like 100-something years since the Civil War. So he was born here. He became a big famous person. And he was the most famous, the oldest famous person, the oldest big famous person living, besides this other guy who was a little less famous, who was also 103 years old. And he just died. And he was pretty cool. And then his son was Michael Douglas. And here's what it says about him. I'm going to drink my coffee. I'm waking up in the morning. I've got my coffee. I finally got coffee. I talk about like impoverished. I have been really, really saving money. I was living on some tea that someone left here without caffeine, but I was able to drink caffeine where it wasn't affecting me in a bad way. Hasn't been affecting me in a negative way. I was living off of all the tea and stuff like that, and then I finally got a bunch of coffee last night. I didn't feel like driving to the store, and it saved tons of money. I would stay out here, or actually, I just stayed out here for a few days to take a break from working for my parents. I was out there every day working for my parents. I was out there every day working for my parents. They work in real estate. They do real estate. Sounds like, oh, you're just Donald Trump's son, and you're just Donald Trump's son, and you just go out there and show up and, talk to people and do some paperwork, and that's it. But you have to act like we still do have to actually do the work. Like right here, what you see here, just in this shot that happens to be right here, I had to and this is how I had to pay my bills to get in movies. So Kirk Douglas had to do something else with I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna see what he had to do to pay his bills, because he was from an impoverished, penniless family, and he worked his way up to being the big famous person. So right here, just in this shot, I painted these walls with 3 or 4 coats of primer, white primer, Kills or whatever, and I think I put that kind of cheap looking frame on the door frame. I think I put that there, and like everything you see here was already here, but I had to paint that and I had to do some plaster on that ceiling myself. I just did the plaster on that ceiling myself, and inside there where there's that art thing. where I did the plaster in the ceiling myself. These floors, I had to this had 2 layers of horrible old carpet. It just, you couldn't actually live in it. It was dirty and old, and we had to take out. Me and my friend took out the um, carpet. I had to do most of it myself, I think, or he helped me the rest of it, and pulled out all this carpet, the under carpet, took all the staples out myself, My other friend helped me to sand all the floors. We rented a sander and put the stain on, put the gloss stuff on these floors. This is all real estate that I had to do. This is how I got this house. I bought it for really cheap. It was like, it needed a lot of work. So I had to do the work. And then even that carpet in there is a piece of carpet that Al left in the house that I cut to size to fit in there, and put some foam under it that I put in there, that little piece of carpet. And trying to think if there's anything else I did here just in the frame that you happen to see, so I could pay for like my music and film production and movie stuff that I made my movies with. Oh, and that trim, I stained it to match the floor and I custom ordered that. I got that trim from Home Depot, I think Home Depot, and put it on all myself in this room. And that's just in this frame of work that I did to this house. There's probably a lot more other work that I had to do to it. And this whole room was filled up with stuff. The whole house was filled up with hundreds and hundreds of bins, boxes, things piled up. You could barely walk through the house when I bought it. That took months to get rid of that stuff. A lot of it's in the shed down there. That was the first thing I had to do, get rid of all the stuff. And still there's a little bit in some corners of the house, but most of it's gone. So that's what I had to do to pay my bills, to do my movie stuff, was do work with my parents in their business and real estate. And Kirk Douglas was poor from an impoverished childhood with immigrant parents and 6 sisters. Wow, he had 6 sisters. He was the 7th or something. I don't know how old he was compared to his other siblings. He was also called something else. He had these other names, but his name's Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas. I guess he changed his name to sound more American, or I don't know. He was Jewish. He was born in America, and he was known for dramas, westerns, and he did that big war movie. During his career, he appeared in more than 90 films. 90 films. He became an international star through positive reception for his leading role as an unscrupulous boxing hero in the movie Champion. Kirk Douglas, 1949, which he was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor. And in 1949, he was like 32. He was 32. And that's how he became a really big star. It took him until he was 32. And so and actually in 1951, to get an idea of what that was, Marlon Brando, I think, won the Academy Award for when he was 27 for A Streetcar Named Desire. A Streetcar Named Desire. He was really cool back then. He was like in really good shape. Marlon Brando when he was young. That was his first movie, 1951, A Streetcar Named Desire. That's a cool movie. And in 1951, Kirk Douglas was in some other movies that he was making a living at since he got the Academy Award. He was like he has to keep going out there and making money at it. So he was in Ace in the Hole, with Jan Sterling. So I don't know what that movie is about, but a detective story. His other early films, oh, this one sounds scary. Young Man with a Horn. Maybe that's like a horn on his head. He's a demon. He's demon. He tried to be big and make a lot of money. He's a demon. He played in Young Man with a Horn. He played opposite Lauren Bacall, who was a big famous person back then. See if she's still alive. She just died in 2014. Wow. She was in 1953. She was in How to Marry a Millionaire with Marilyn Monroe and Betty Grable. Some other guy you may have heard. She was in Designing Women with Gregory Peck. I don't know who Gregory Peck is. I've heard of his name. I don't even know what he looks like, but I can see he looks like he's some person back then. I've heard of that. I don't know. I've heard of some of these people. So I'm going to talk about Kirk Douglas. He was a big Hollywood actor. He lived to be 103. I'm going to check some of the things on here. Lauren Bacall was another famous one who lived a long time. She died at 89 in 2014. Kirk Douglas was the oldest living one. Kirk Douglas was the oldest. Trying to stretch my muscles from sitting too long. Or from I had stretched. I had something else I had to stretch. Okay. Let's read more about. Okay, I'm going to tell you more about Kirk Douglas. We're going to see how he died. Oh, wow. He did Passive Glory and Spartacus with Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick, who knows what he's doing now? He could be on the other side, he could be reincarnated, or he could be in hell. Who knows what he's doing now? Stanley Kubrick, who supposedly did some big government films, insider government films, and then started talking about it, and somehow he died at 70s with a conspiracy theory. People, who knows? None of that stuff really makes any sense to me. Maybe it was all in his mind and he went nuts, and like he had a military jacket on, but I don't know if he was in the military. He'd wear a military jacket a lot. He was okay. I don't know. I don't know if he's okay or not, but everyone can be okay, a good person, but I don't know what he was like in person, but it's kind of scary that Stanley Kubrick was producing like $100 million film back in 1960 and did that for so long. And then he had that creepy Eyes Wide Shut with the bringing people. I he could have been good. He could have been good. He could have been good. He could have been bad. Maybe Eyes Wide Shut had a good moral purpose. Okay. Okay, so he did all these movies. He starred in the Broadway play in 1963, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a story that he purchased and he bought the story, the rights to use the story, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and sold to his and gave to his son, Michael Douglas, who turned it into an Oscar-winning film with obviously Jack Nicholson, who's another big giant powerful person on earth that some people are afraid of. They think but I don't know, because I don't know anyone who has that much money and power. Jack Nicholson has a lot of money. I've probably met people like that, but I don't have them close in my life as my close relationship. I know some powerful people, but not the type of money that Jack Nicholson has. I don't even know how much their net worth is and stuff. I could look up. I think but I have an idea. Jack Nicholson's like 300 million. I used to look up that stuff until I was like, who cares? Kirk Douglas net worth. I don't know how much money he had, but it says he had an estimated $60 million at the time he died, Kirk Douglas. And that's another thing. Like, why would you try to prove you have a net worth so when you die, this is what the money he had was when he died? Like, who cares at that point? You're going to be dead. Might as well enjoy it while you're on Earth. But it's more than just money. Sometimes the work that you do, might carry on a legacy, or help with good, help people with good down the generations. See what legacy means. I'm going to look up legacy. See if he had a legacy. Oh, Subaru legacy. What does legacy mean? The dictionary would define legacy as a gift or a bequest that is handed down or conveyed from one person to another. It is something descendable one comes into possession of that is transmitted, inherited, or received from a predecessor. Well, legacy may not be the thing unless you inherit a work ethic, an extraordinary work ethic from the future generations to keep that going, and more than just a legacy, more of a like a Fisher Kings. Someone texted me and said Fisher Kings. Someone texted me and said Fisher Kings, like the last remaining person to carry on this legacy and of the work ethic and all these things throughout the generation, like a cause that they're standing for that's good, and passing that down the generations. And it feels like we're like Fisher Kings, like or it might feel like you're a Fisher King, the last remaining one to carry on the legacy of the family generations. But if you word it as more than one Fisher Kings, then you're being a kind person, as that person said, Fisher Kings, like, which may, with Kirk Douglas, it could refer to his son, Michael Douglas, and Michael Douglas's son. Kirk Douglas got into movies himself. No one did it before him, unless there was something we didn't know about with on his mother's side or father's side where they did theater and stuff like that. So they could have done some some of that stuff that didn't go as big, but they still did it in their family. So he was encouraged to maybe he was encouraged to do that, or maybe he wasn't. Um, I have to look up his parents. I'm going to look up his parents. I know his son's Michael Douglas, and I believe Michael Douglas has another son. Michael Douglas. Yeah, excuse me. He has two sons. Michael Douglas has two sons, Cameron Douglas and Dylan Douglas. Dylan Michael Douglas. My son's name is Rowan Michael Birmingham. My son's name is Rowan Michael Birmingham. My dad's name is something I don't want to say because I don't want to go public with him or something. I don't want to mention him too much. But his name's Michael. My dad's name is Michael. We named my son Rowan Michael Birmingham. And the mother of my children's father, his middle name is also Michael. So we have Michael. And my other son's named Ivan. And Ivan's kind of named after me, but not really. It's a different name. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. I'm seeing how it all fits in, and you can kind of relate to how it sees with your. I don't know if you can gain anything. I hope you can gain or some understanding from how Kirk Douglas died, and his son's Michael Douglas. He has other friends, and he had to go from being impoverished in childhood to being this big actor, oldest living movie star who just died, besides this other guy who was like not as popular. Okay. I'm just gonna, I might take a break from this. I might see who's writing on here. Hi. Did anyone comment? Yo, good morning. Good morning. Stretching. I've had to stretch various parts of my body. Man. I've had to stretch various parts of my body. When I've sat too much, that's what I do. Is I sit. No, I worked for many weeks for my parents recently this year, just this year alone. Last year, I worked so hard it nearly killed me a few times. That I thought in my head it nearly killed me. It got to the point where it was just so much stress. It was just terrible. It was terrible. It was most of last year. I still have my health. Apparently have nothing wrong with my health. I made it. I was worried there a few different times over random things, and that were to me very difficult to go through, and I made it through. And Kirk Douglas didn't. And at some point, you just get so old that you die. If you're fortunate enough to get old. All right. I'm gonna drink a coffee and try to feel better. Something's like kind of annoying me. I don't know what it is. Kirk Douglas passed away. Kirk Douglas. Wait, something about Van Gogh. What is this? Oh. He portrayed Vincent van Gogh in 1956 for Lust for Life. Wow. He actually played Vincent van Gogh. I'm just going to find a picture of him. Vincent Van Gogh, Lust for Life, Kirk Douglas. Wow, this is so funny looking. This is so funny. This is so funny looking. I don't know if this is. I think this is a real picture from the movie. this is so funny. You know, he wasn't like Vincent Van Gogh in real life. He was a redhead. Unless did he do paintings and film? I guess he saw art. Acting is, I don't know. Why is there a line across this? I'm going to try to full it frame more and see if I can get rid of that line in the center. Vincent Van Gogh, Kirk Douglas, Lust for Life. And then Iggy Pop made a song, Lust for Life, later and got really famous with that one. And this one was up for an Academy Award. Here's Lust for Life, or won an Academy Award in 1956. Lust for Life, Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas. I wonder, I'm going to look up Lust for Life. I'm going to see what that means. Why did that get so big? Lust for life. Hopefully it's not some sin. Sometimes that gets people monetary things on earth. I don't know. Unless that's just a theory. Or unless that's just a... let's see what Lust for Life is all about. I'm going to look it up. It says Iggy Pop. Lust for Life. That was his one that put Iggy Pop on the map finally after all those years singing, doing things. Finally made him huger, I believe. Unless he was already famous the whole time. I don't know. I mean, he just had to tour around and I thought that he didn't get that big and was just doing the underground punk stuff, and then finally Lust for Life made him huge by the time he was like way older. And he kept in shape that whole time. That was the thing that he did, keeping in shape and music. And Lust for Life, 1956. Directed by Vincent Minnelli, apparently an Italian. I don't know if he's related to Liza Minnelli. And he played the tortured artist Vincent Van Gogh. Tortured. That's terrible. At one time I felt like that, but if you can live long enough, there's you can figure out those mental things. Sometimes there's things like this doesn't bother me anymore, this coffee. Some of those people that have things in their diet that are messing with them, or powerful people in their lives that they can't figure out. They're doing something wrong. Maybe in his case, it was his art that was inappropriate and he had to like fit in better, but that was the only way he could do it, and he died. But then he got really famous, and maybe he got to be the most famous artist in the world, Vincent Van Gogh. He's the most famous artist to have ever lived. Let's consider Jesus wasn't an artist, but that was Vincent Van Gogh. So he kind of suffered, and then maybe got to enjoy it after he died. Who knows? But and his work got discovered. Anyway, Lust for Life. What does that mean? Lust for Life. Meaning. That was Michael Douglas's 1956 film that got an Academy Award nomination. A strong determination to enjoy life. Ugh. A strong determination to enjoy life as much as possible. That's what lust for life means. It's very strange. Why does it have to do with Italy? That's good. Okay. It says the happy-go-lucky lust for life so typical of southern Italy. Southern Italy. That's where I was. That's where my that's where my relatives on my mom's side come from. Um, my mom my mom has a lust for life. I believe. I don't know if I should speak for her, but she'd have to say whether or not she does. But I think she does. Lust for life. She goes out there and enjoys stuff. She has a personality that's very nice and enjoys living. She doesn't do any drugs. So much so that people think she's high on something because she loves the life experience. She's like really excited about it. They thought she did alcohol or drugs. I've never seen her drink alcohol in my entire life. I've never seen her drink alcohol in my entire life. And I know she doesn't do any drugs. But she has like a really good personality. She has a lust. I think she has a lust for life, but I wouldn't call. I don't know about lust. I don't know what lust means. I'm gonna look up lust. I don't know. Maybe she does have. Maybe she's a little different. But this is Kirk Douglas. This is Kirk Douglas. He starred in Lust for Life, 1956. Lust is a psychological force producing intense desire for an object or circumstance fulfilling the emotion. Lust can take any form, such as the lust for sexuality, love. Love is a different one. Love has nothing to do with sex, in my opinion. It's like a not the way I look at love is a non-selfish love. You love one another, and I don't know, uh, money or power. You could love money or power or sexuality. Those are very carnal, worldly things. Love is different. When your kindness towards others takes precedence over the selfish need for other things, but you have to be kind to yourself too and others. And um, um, loves I think is a good one that people sometimes confuse with sexuality, but that's lust. Um, Inherent in that there is some good because kindness, because in Christ, Christianity or things that I believe, be kind to others and be kind to yourself. So that's like loving one another, having close loved ones, and doing unto others as you do to yourself, or whatever religion people believe in that has them do good towards others. Um, I think that's love. They mention love in lust, so I guess it could have a good meaning. That's a good meaning. Lust for life. Kirk Douglas. Lust for life. Shows Iggy Pop before him. But anyway, Lust for Life, 1956. Kirk Douglas in memoriam. They're going to have something like that at the Oscars probably because he was the oldest living famous actor besides this other guy who was less famous, who's the same age about. Gosh. Um, yeah, Lust for Life was him playing Vincent Van Gogh. Vincent Van Gogh's archetypical tortured artist genius. His obsession with painting combined with mental illness, he was known for his mental illness, Van Gogh, propels him through an unhappy life full of failures and unrewarding relationships. He fails at being a preacher to coal miners. He fails in his relationship with women. He earned some respect among. Oh, he had a close woman that who had kids with, and he had a father. I've read about Vincent Van Gogh a little bit, but he's different from me. I outlived my mental suffering, suffering that I had to go through. That was like Van Gogh, and I used to work really hard on one film, or things that I did that were like art, and I worked really hard on this house, but only one. I worked on it most of last year, a relentless energy, but most of it wasn't art. It was just doing my dad's type of work, or my mom's type of, my dad's and my, it was home renovation, home repair, stuff like that. Instead of getting a new roof, I went up on the roof by hand, and could have used a new roof, but it would have cost a lot of money. So I went up by hand and patched every single part of the roof. I got some guy who wasn't afraid to be about 4 stories high on the top of the roof on the edge, and fix this one little part and this other little part. And I went up on the other edge of the house. It's really stupid. I'm never going to do it again. And I kind of like leaned over on the side of it about 3 or maybe 4 stories, and put on this sealant stuff on the very edge so it wouldn't ruin the wood on the top of the edge of the roof on that one. Went on the roof on the building down there to fix the roof all myself. I don't ever want to do it again. I'm not going to do it again. I don't want to. They keep going up there for months, patching every little teeny tiny place on the whole roof all myself, and fixing different things until it didn't leak anymore, until this roof does not leak at all. So I did that to save however much getting a roof. I'd like to one day get a really cool looking roof on this house, but I just got it all repaired myself. So I had to do that, which is this house is a work of art, so I guess this is kind of like restoring a work of art and doing art to it and stuff. A big, like a film. This was kind of like something like that, because I did painted the floors with all the art and stuff like that. But maybe there's something, I don't know. Kirk Douglas. Trivia for Vincent Van Gogh's film Lust for Life, for Kirk Douglas's film Lust for Life, where he played Vincent Van Gogh. Kirk, in his memoir, The Ragman's Son, he came from the poor father, different from my family. Kirk Douglas recounted that John Wayne attended a screening of the film and was horrified. He said, of course, he was blasphemous, John Wayne. I mean, and he just said, like, in not a bad way. He was probably a good guy, John Wayne. He wore a wig later in life. He would wear a wig and then just take it off and not wear a wig out in public, like he didn't care. And no one thought it was that weird, I guess, John Wayne. And he said, how can you play a part like that? There's so few of us left. We got to play strong, tough characters, not those weak queers. He really said that. He said John Wayne told. he, said, he, said, he, said, he said you got to play strong, tough characters, not those weak queers. John Wayne told Kirk Douglas about playing Vincent Van Gogh. Douglas tried to explain, it's all make-believe, John. It isn't real. You're not really John Wayne, you know. Oh, then that can mean something totally different. Wayne looked at him oddly, as if Douglas had betrayed him. Many of the real locations for filming that movie were where Vincent Van Gogh really visited in his real life. And he played Vincent Van Gogh, and it didn't kill him. He lived to be 103 years old. Kirk Douglas, 103 years old. I don't know why I don't feel that great. It's something like annoying me or something. I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I don't know what the heck it is. It's like taste. It's like a stale, moldy thing on a piece of meat. I don't know what it was. It's like so creepy. It's like I don't know why it's been bothering me. Maybe it's because the heat isn't on. Oh man. And I haven't been putting the heat on in the downstairs, but I put these little heaters on here and it saves money. Kirk Douglas, how's everybody doing? No one, I don't see any comments, but there may be comments. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, no. Kirk Douglas. Oh, 1916. Born December 9th, 1916 to present. He was 100 years, born 100 years before Rowan and Ivan's baby sister. My son Rowan and Ivan's baby sister Ayla. I'm looking at a picture of him. I could show. Kirk Douglas. Known for the movie Champion. Champion. Yes. Wait, sorry. Here he is, Champion. Hey, how you doing there? Don't say that to me. I've got $100 billion. No, he's all right. Kirk Douglas, champion. Military man. He may have been. No, he didn't go in the military. I think he didn't go in the military. I'm going to look it up. Military. Kirk Douglas, military. He served in the Navy during World War II. Oh my gosh. Wait, I think he did. Shows this picture of him. Wow. I had no idea he served in the Navy. It says, I'm going to check the. Wow. I'm going to see if it says this is true. served in the Navy. Douglas joined the United States Army. Douglas, Douglas joined the United States Navy in 1941. Shortly after the United States entered World War II, where he served as a communications officer in anti-submarine warfare aboard USPC 1139. He was medically discharged in 1944 for war injuries sustained from the accidental dropping of a depth charge. Wow. He served in the Navy. From 1941 to 1944. Wow, during World War II. Then he became a big movie star, or whatever that thing is. But he served in the Navy. I guess he had to because he was from a, unless he just had, he probably had to. From an impoverished childhood with immigrant parents and 6 sisters, kind of like my grandfather. But he worked his way up in it. He worked his way up in a different thing. I don't know. Not the. This could be. I don't know if he's bad or good. This Kirk Douglas, but he spent the remaining years of his life figuring out what he believed in with religion and Kirk Douglas religion. He had plenty of money. They say he had $60 million, but who knows? I guess his son Michael Douglas and maybe some others got it. I don't know. His son Michael Douglas had more money than he did. And I guess they didn't. What is Kirk Douglas's religion? He was born to a Jewish peddler in New York State, in the town called Amsterdam, which is not New York City. He was Jewish and then not as much religious. This is in 2007. He said he always fasted on Yom Kippur, but he paid little attention to his religion. He recalls, "I still worked on movie sets, but I fasted." I guess they didn't. I don't know. But this is terrible. He survived a helicopter crash in 1991, a stroke. He wrote a book and then wrote more. If you've done something really big in your life, like if you've done something pretty big and good that can help others, you can write a book on it. I think you could write a book on something like that if it's amazing. Oh, this is terrible. He had 4 sons. One of them, the youngest, died of a drug-induced suicide. Oh, that's terrible. Shouldn't even mention that word. and he was the fourth son. He the 50s, 60s, and 70s. He was like, that was when he was known for what he did. Kirk Douglas, champion, his first his first Oscar nomination. His first Oscar nomination. Um, he lived to be 103. Um, oldest living. He has he after his stroke, it forced him to relearn the language. Forced. And he's reached a new stage in life. Once known as one of Hollywood's most self-centered denizens in a town notorious for supersized egos, Douglas is now looking beyond himself. He's exhorting the internet generation to practice tikkun olam. Never would have thought he'd practice tikkun olam, whatever that is, to repair the world through social action and respect for human rights. Douglas knows where to reach his target audience, not in movie theaters, but on MySpace and YouTube. There he urges, this is from 2007 in the Jerusalem Post. He urges the young viewers to rebel, to speak up, to vote, to care about people. He leaves it to the younger generation because his generation has done very little to help abject poverty, global warming, AIDS, and suicide bombers. So we'll leave it to the younger generation. You have to fix it because the situation is intolerable. He said that later in life. He was in the Navy. He served in the Navy during World War II. That was a time when Hollywood was very right wing. His parents were poor, illiterate immigrants from Russia, and his father made a precarious living as a peddler. In his first memoir, The Ragman's Son, Kirk recalls with undiminished pain growing up with a loveless father, unresponsive to his son and 6 daughters. To compensate, he makes it a point to show emotion and affection towards his own children and grandchildren. Well, maybe he had a problem. Maybe there's something, I don't know. Maybe there's something with Hollywood. I noticed with Mickey Rourke, how he had problems with his father, and left his father and then became famous. His dad died, and he went and became famous. Maybe his dad needed attention. I don't know. It could be all different things. I don't know if that's true or not. college, he was popular. Makes no sense. He tried to pass himself off as a half Jew, it says. Ugh. I may have to turn this off. I was planning on not doing videos for a while. But this is Kirk Douglas. He was married for 65 years. 65 years since his 30s. It was his second wife. I don't know who his first wife was. I could look it up. Kirk Douglas. First wife. Diana Dill. Hey, he had Michael Douglas with his first wife. They're married in November of 1943. They divorced in 1951 when he already made his way to being famous from poverty with her, Diana Dill. Then he married his second wife, Anne Boydens, who could have been his soulmate. It's difficult to find. She's still alive. She's 100. He was 103. Stayed with him the whole time, apparently. He has a son, Eric Douglas, that he made with his first wife, Diana Dill. Michael Douglas's brother, his real brother. That I'm going to see who Eric Douglas is. He's an actor and stand-up comedian. He was the younger son of Kirk Douglas. And is. Oh, he died. Oh, that's terrible. He only lived to be 46. Gosh, he died in 2004, 46 years old. The younger son. Eric Douglas. He died of an accidental drug overdose. He was the fourth son of anyway. He died of an accidental drug overdose. They said accidental drug overdose. Eric Douglas. He outlived one of his sons. The other one he became like best friends with. Apparently from their closeness and when you'd see him with Michael Douglas. Look at Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas. His middle name was Kirk. Michael Kirk Douglas is Kirk. He's still alive with Catherine Zeta-Jones. We're gonna hear, or I don't know if, but the world's gonna, he's gonna make statements and say, "Oh, his father lived a long life," or whatever he believes. Michael Douglas. He is in his 70s. Wow. He was like a cool person when I was a kid growing up. I'd seen when I was growing up. when I was a kid. He was not too long. He was like kind of like Harrison Ford or one of those big. He was like a cool person, Michael Douglas. See if he served in the military too. He won an Oscar for Lifetime Achievement, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He wrote books and all this stuff. Oh no, that's Kirk Douglas. This is Kirk Douglas. He won an Oscar for a Lifetime Achievement. Makes sense. He was older. He was 103, and Presidential Medal of Freedom because he served in the United States Navy during World War II. Michael Douglas, I don't think had to serve in the military. Wow. His son was there with him since before he was famous. Born in 1944. September 25th, my wedding anniversary. Shouldn't tell too many people this stuff. All right. I had 2 wedding anniversaries with the one woman who I love. And there were different dates. There was a physical wedding. There was the I don't know what people in my family think about it. I get along with my family. I've been working with my parents. I think I got kind of bigger than I thought. I think I got kind of bigger than I thought at the movie stuff and stuff like that. It felt like it was never enough, never enough. And I'm pretty much the biggest Ronald McDonald, the real actual, like closest thing to a real Ronald McDonald in the past 3 years. In the past, since 2016 to 2019, I'm pretty much the closest thing there is to Ronald McDonald from 2016 2019. This was something that was kind of like granted to me after being respectful to my parents. They're still pretty young. They're younger than Michael Douglas. And the Ronald McDonald just happened to get big. It's just one video. I think it doesn't have billions of views, but it's one. The real A-listers out there of today, Justin Bieber, stuff like that. They have a video that has like billions of views, but mine got 61 million views. And for one video, that's pretty good. That may be in the top. That's in the top. I'd say that's in the top 5,000 videos of today for amount of views. But I don't know. I've tried to research and figure out. But I know that's the biggest Ronald McDonald video for the past the most popular one since in recent and just in the past few years. And I'm Ronald McDonald. It was my idea to film it. It's on the Mother of My Children's page. And so there's stuff like that. And I did whole movies. Did huge movies that at the time I thought were so small compared to Hollywood budgets, but they were real movies. I filmed one in Los Angeles, rented a giant movie trailer that they carried in for the actors that had working bathrooms, had a full union, a union crew that I paid union wages to for a few days or a while of the film shoot till I ran out of money. I had to film it myself on my own video camera. that was fortunate, and I found a video camera for cheap back then that looked like film in the days when video didn't look like film. And I filmed it myself, but I got permits and filmed in Los Angeles with real permits on real movie locations where they filmed big movies and stuff. And I rented the sets. I got money from the school. I had a scholarship to go to the school because I'd worked so hard on art and stuff like that. I got into one of the best film schools. They do TEDx. Steven Spielberg was there when I was on campus. Arnold Schwarzenegger spoke at the school when I was there when he was governor of California. I got my MFA from there in film production. I got a scholarship to go there. Didn't pay for all the tuition. I got financial aid. Made this huge movie that I thought at the time was the best I could do. And I guess looking back, I was bigger than I thought, but the past 4 years or so, I've just been doing actual work to make up for that I didn't work for a little more, about 4 years. I've been doing actual work on like hard labor, like I was saying earlier in this video, everything in this frame, like here just on this house, I painted those walls with 3 or 4 coats of Kills primer. Put that trim on, stained, had it match the floor, redid these floors so they're like new. Did the ceilings in there, all the plaster in there, fixed all the ceilings all myself. Did those walls. Right there is a heating duct that I did something to, and other stuff that I put that carpet in. Did those floors in that room. So I had to do the actual work that all those years I was like, I hated doing it with my dad. Like I worked for him for 10 years, but barely worked. And so for the past 4 years or so, I had to do all that type of work. And there was like a trade-off where it was a really good place, this house, and it made me do a lot of work to be respectful of my parents who had to do that work all those years. And instead of just working on my movies all the time, I had to do stuff to make it up to them. And before that, I worked on another house that I got in new looking condition, by myself and with the help of some other friends and people, and sold it and made money and was able to buy this. And I worked, I'd say now I made up for all those years when I wasn't working very hard. And I worked about 13 years full time at like a regular type of work, the actual work I was doing. It may have been in my own house, a very small amount of it, like art and stuff like that. I'd say like not that much of it was art and stuff like that and creative stuff, but I got to do creative stuff. I still got to do videos. And I got to, after working a year and a half, like a lot of work, I got to take time off here and just kind of relax and do what I felt like for a while. And but I guess I got bigger than I thought at that stuff. I'm not that big that I thought. I thought, I'm not an A-list actor, so but apparently I got bigger than I had thought. Like there are people out there who I was friends with and stuff who still kind of may think, what the heck did he do? Like he got so kind of bigger at that stuff, it was almost scary. But then I think, what am I talking about? It's not even really much of anything. And I don't know, maybe that getting things on earth and stuff is bad, getting carnal, worldly things, but I don't know if it is or not. So, because the Ronald McDonald was good. That was good. That was a good feeling inside that I deserved after working so hard on stuff that that was like all these different things in my life came together, and after working on the stuff for so long, that one happened to work, to be noticed. But all my work in my films haven't been noticed as much. But I'm still trying to figure out the meaning of this. But I had to, at this house, kind of become a better moral person. I had to become a much better moral person for something that I did in my mind that was pretty mean in my thoughts. And I had to I had to become a better person again. So I'm trying again. I started going out there a lot this January. Went out there and worked for my parents like every day. And I don't know what Kirk Douglas had to do religiously speaking, or lack there to but he spent the remaining years of his life trying to be a more spiritual person. That's what he did with the remaining years of his life. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas. Ugh. I don't know. I can't rationalize some things. Kirk Douglas. I don't know. Okay. Died at 103. They show him on Fox News. There's an article on Fox News. #1 search result. But I don't know if he was into Fox News or what he acted pretty not right wing. I don't know, but he may have been right wing. He was famous at a time when Hollywood was more right wing. Earlier, I don't know what politically he really believed in. I don't know. He died I think the same day wait, I'm going to see when Trump was acquitted. I think yesterday, the same day Kirk Douglas died. I know Kirk Douglas died yesterday on February 5th. On February 5th. Trump acquitted. Wonder if it had anything to do with I'd say it probably had something to do with it. These people die somehow, according to, I believe, at sometimes how the political climate is, or for how things are in the whole world in their favor. Like politically, when Obama was president, I think black people may have died less in America because they were happier about how things were politically. Then when things started to change and get a little different for them, I think more black people then died. But they had a period of feeling great during the, or great in their own way during the or good. Senate acquits Trump. He was acquitted yesterday, I believe. I believe that was yesterday. Senate acquits Trump February 5th. It could have had something to do with Kirk Douglas finally dying. him being a movie star. Lemur could have had nothing to do with it. I'm not sure. Yeah, that was yesterday. Apparently, the Senate was. Yeah, no, that wasn't a Sunday. That was a Wednesday. Yeah, today's a Thursday. Um, could have had something to do with it on February 5th. It was apparently, I don't know. Anyway, that's some different thing. Or or it could have been, or it could have affected Kirk Douglas dying. Kirk Douglas dying. I'm gonna dye my hair. Speaking of dying, I don't know. That's terrible. I'm worried about death too, and I'd still joke about it. Kirk Douglas. I guess maybe his son Michael will be okay with his father dying because he lived a long life, 103 years old, oldest living movie star, oldest living movie star. Besides this one other guy who was like not as popular but still pretty big, and they're both 103. And Kirk Douglas passed away. Kirk Douglas. See, I think something happened to his heart. How did he die? Something happened to his heart, I believe, or he just died. It was something related to the stroke he had in 1996. Natural causes. They say natural causes. I guess he died of natural causes. Wonder how exact. Something maybe related to his heart giving out or something. Oh yeah. Michael Douglas posted something on some social media, and he said, "To the world, he has a legend, an actor from the golden age of movies." Oh, to the world. Oh, I started making a big public announcement and was somewhat flawed, but I didn't play it off like the one small step for man, one giant step for mankind, which was supposed to, if you think about that, which was supposed to be one small step for a man, one giant step for mankind, is what he meant to say. But he said it. He said one small step for man, one small step, one giant step for mankind, and it was so hard to figure out what it meant. Or it was like, they just left it alone and everyone went with it and said it was the best thing ever. But then later he admitted that it was wow, a lot of people are talking on here. Okay, then it was but this Michael Douglas announced on social. He announced somewhere on it on it wherever it is. He said, "To the world, he was a legend, an actor from the golden age of movies who lived well into his golden years." Is that all he said? I'm gonna find the exact post that he made right here. Wait. Michael Douglas. I have various social media, but I don't really post on it anymore. I've gotten pressure just to not do it as much, even though I live in Virginia. What else? I mean, I have to find other. It's just I don't want people to attack my life's work anymore. It's like I don't know if that's in my own mind, or I don't know. Maybe it's good. Maybe I've gotten too big with that stuff already, and that's all. I have to keep working on it later. I just want to keep making sure that's okay. But anyway, okay, Michael Kirk Douglas. His middle name's Kirk. Whoa. Michael Kirk Douglas. Instagram. 525,000 followers. I think his wife has a bigger one on Instagram. I'm not sure. Trying to get the thing. Here's what it says. Michael Kirk Douglas. It is with tremendous sadness that my brothers and I announce. Wait a second. He has brothers? Michael Douglas brothers. Eric Douglas. Eric Douglas died, though, a while ago. He was only 46. Joel Douglas and Peter Douglas. Joel Douglas and Peter Douglas. So Joel Douglas, and Peter Douglas announced that Kirk Douglas left us today at the age of 103. To the world, he was a legend, an actor from the golden age of movies who lived well into his golden years, a humanitarian whose commitment to justice and the causes he believed in set a standard for all of us to aspire to. But to me and my brothers, this is Michael Douglas. This is Michael Douglas on his Instagram page. He announced. I guess his wife has an Instagram. Catherine Zeta. Yeah, she commented. He loved you so very much, my darling. There, she commented right there. He loved you so very much, my darling. Bara Sakars. Somebody said something. He says, okay, he said a humanitarian whose commitment to justice, because he served in the Navy during World War II, and the causes he believed in. He was spiritual. He figured out religion more later in life, because that's the most important religion, and or whatever it was that he was trying to figure out with spirituality, and maybe religion was his best way of being a kind person to others, whatever those things are. He was trying to figure out how to be kind to others and kind to yourself. That's what I learned from my parents growing up as a person who was had a religious upbringing. Someone we'd go to church, and I learned be kind to others and be kind to yourself. That's what I got from it. More spiritual. And he says, a humanitarian whose commitment to justice here's where he really said, to the world he was a legend, an actor from the golden age of movies who lived well into his golden years, a humanitarian whose commitment to justice and the causes he believed in set a standard for all of us to aspire to. However, to me and my brothers, Joel and Peter, he was simply Dad. To Catherine, this is what Michael Douglas is saying. This is the announcement that he made, or what he said about him so far. To Catherine, he was a wonderful father-in-law. Yeah, of course he says that stuff. You see him close to one another. To his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, their loving grandfather, and to his wife Anne, a wonderful husband. Kirk's life was well lived, and he leaves a legacy in film that will endure for generations to come into history as a renowned philanthropist who worked to aid the public and bring peace to the planet. Which, who knows what he may have stood up for or not stood up for, and he wanted to, I guess, maybe really make sure that he was kind to anyone he may have hurt, or who knows. I think that's what he did. I think that's what he did in his later years. Tried to be kind um, to anyone he may have been a jerk to politically or not. I don't know. Not sure. Um, Let me end with the words, is what Michael Douglas said. The richest man on earth, Michael Douglas. The richest man on earth, Michael Douglas. Uh, um, Let me end with the words I told him on his last birthday and which will always remain true. Dad, I love you so much and I am so proud to be your son. Okay. Here's a picture that he posted of him. Here's stuff he said. Ah! Wait. Here's here's him with his dad. Oh wait, is that another one? Oh, this is another post he made about him. Oh no, it's the same picture. It's just another picture. It's just another picture he has with him. Trying to get this glare off of here. Um, that's the pictures he has with him. Him and his father. 103. There's Michael Douglas with his father. This is on his social media. There he is with his family. There's his family and his wife, Kirk Douglas, and they don't have. Is that his daughter? Oh, there's Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. I can get next video. I'll maybe get the software. You get this software, and you can have. I can get that. I can get the software, and then I can cut to what I'm showing on my desktop of my computer, or other video. I can use music and video and stuff in a live video. I was busy working on this house and working for my parents early this year, a few weeks of this year. That's Michael Douglas. So, but this works for now. You can see this is, I was telling you his things he said. Here's him. He made a post the other day, Michael Douglas, about Kobe. Rip Kobe and Gianna Bryant. My deepest condolences to the Bryant family. Oh, I'm going to turn the brightness of the screen down. Then it'll look better. Can you see this? Now you can see it better, probably. And I'll go up to the Michael Douglas post that he made about Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas, an all-American movie actor. Yeah. He was in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Injured. Then he couldn't fight in the war anymore, so he became a movie actor, like Clint Eastwood, an older American. An older American. Yeah. Real man. Kirk Douglas. Yeah. Find some pictures of him. Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas. Yeah. The manliest chin of any man to have ever lived. The manliest chin of anyone on earth. No. Yeah, just his chin. At that moment, the manliest chin of any man. A man's man. Is this showing this? Oh, it's here. It is. A man's man. Yeah. Kirk Douglas. Look at his manly chin. I tell you what. Frankly, I don't give a damn. You know who put that dent in my chin? The devil. No, he didn't. He was a good person. God put that dent in his chin. God put that dent in his chin. He was a good person. Kirk Douglas. Yeah. And watch it with your language talking about me. I watch your language talking about me. He was cool. He was really cool. Cool. He was good. He was all right. He was cool, that's for sure. And he's good. I guess he was a good person. Best haircut, best hair ever of today for a man of my age. Just how I look right now. That's me. That's him. There he is, the father of somebody. Father of some guy who didn't get that famous. Father of some guy who didn't get very famous. You know, not like my other son. Everybody knows Michael Douglas. He's a big famous man. And this is me from the other side. Talking like Kermit the Frog. Because I can joke around now. Because I'm in heaven having a good time. Everybody. Here with Jim Henson. Hey guys, Jim Henson up here in heaven. Just kidding, it's me, Kirk Douglas. Okay. He passed away. He's 103 years old. Here he is when he was 103 with his son Michael. Wow. Looked like it flattened his hair at the top a little bit there. They could have gotten those expensive haircutting people to fix it, right? Because he has so much money. I guess not. Michael Douglas and looks happy. He looks okay. He's got a good life. He's got a good wife. He has other people in his life. I think Michael Douglas drank some alcohol later in life, and may have smoked. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. I think he was a smoker and drinker a little bit, but I'm not sure. Michael Douglas, smoker and drinker. Yeah, it says a picture of him smoking. He was a smoker and he was a drinker. Not just a smoker, but a drinker. I think that's why he got the I think that contributed to his throat cancer. He said it was from being with women, but it's really the smoking and drinking together which greatly increases the odds of that. Greatly increases the odds of cancer. Smoking and drinking together heavily reduces life expectancy by a lot. But he's okay. Apparently unaffected. He can speak normally. He looks normal. Michael Douglas. I don't want to think about this stuff too much. People don't want to think. It's kind of like an anxiety that the younger people get, worrying about this and that. So he's perfectly fine and healthy, apparently. I don't know, because no one's perfect. But here's his father. Kirk Douglas. Champion. I'm a champion. I'm an older American. I served in World War II in the U.S. Navy. I was injured. I came from an impoverished family of immigrants. I was born on American U.S. soil, but like the rest of us, my parents were immigrants. I had to work my way up, serving the U.S. military. Look at this chin. This is a manly chin. You think I wanted to keep serving in the military after I was injured until I was 103 and shook like this a little bit right before my death, maybe? But you didn't see it. You didn't see the real suffering I went through. I'm a man's man. Don't call me a manny man. I'm a good guy. American hero. I was an older American. And guess what? I'm a movie actor and was a movie star. They called me a star. I don't know what that refers to nowadays. You might not want to be a star, Miss Star. Maybe you missed her or missed me. But I made it to the other side. Stayed with my wife for 65 years. 65 years. I was kind and loving to her, never once hurt her. I never once hurt her. Until I was shaken like this from one thing or another. Until I thought I was gonna die. Until I was singing like this in a musical. and I've been through it all. Pilgrim. No, not Pilgrim. That's John Wayne. I'm too feminine for that. I played Vincent Van Gogh, for gosh sakes. I played Vincent Van Gogh. Look at me. Is that a joke, or did Van Gogh die? Tortured and suffering. Good thing it's not me. Ha ha ha, just an actor. Well, guess what? You don't know what Kirk Douglas has been through, 'cause he doesn't tell you. And you may just never know. There might be a gremlin hiding in your house. You just never know. There might be a gremlin hiding in your house. And I made money for saying that once or twice, that acting stuff. And guess what? I served in the U.S. Navy, and I won a Lifetime Achievement Academy Award. I've been at it so long. I was the oldest living big movie, A-list movie star, besides this one other guy. Let's not talk about him, but we were the same age, and that's pretty much me. Now, there's another guy, too. He's pretty cool, too. He's my friend. I like him. I lived through, I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Did you live through that? What did you think about it? Are you a country dance? Are you country dancing as you prance? Did you get your chance in? Are you country dancing? Are you country dancing? Did you get your chance in? Look at me. I'm a war hero. You know what I had to go through in World War II? The stupidest sounding thing that you ever heard a human being say. In World War II? The dumbest sounding thing any human could say. How I died yesterday? I'm a good man in heaven now. In heaven. Believe it. You believe it? I think he did. I hope he did. But he had to keep all those millions to himself. You think that's good or bad? All that carnal, worldly pleasure. You know what this chin has been? Oh, man. Anyway, I gotta itch my chin. Oh, man. Don't touch me there. I'll smack you across the face on a Paramount lot. I'll smack you across the face. Don't try that with me. I'm a big man. Whatever it is I did, Don't you touch my chin. He's in heaven. He's flying around in heaven. Or he's having a good time. He's maybe he's flying around as a ghost with Jim Morrison. Maybe he's just flying around with Jim Morrison. He's a good guy, a war hero. That's how I really looked back then. I believe he didn't get any plastic surgery. I believe he didn't back then. When he was older, he did apparently. Um, Whoa! Look how big his chin is there. I'm an older American. I'm an older American. Yeah. He's a good guy. He served in the army, or not? No, that was a joke. He served in the U.S. Navy. He didn't serve in the army. He served in the U.S. Navy, and he passed away of natural causes. I think it had something to do with his heart, and they said it was from his stroke that he had in 1996. In 1991, he got in a helicopter crash. That hurt him. Then 96, he had a stroke. And then it was kind of like he had to take it easy for the rest of his life. And he got more into religion and stuff like that. Making sure he's a good person. Who the F is Kirk Douglas? The oldest movie star, the oldest living movie star. There's one other guy who was less popular than him who was the same age. He was the oldest living big actor. And so young people may say, who is that guy? Hey, Surrey.
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
Hey, Surrey. How did Kirk Douglas die?
Okay, I found this on the web for How Did Kirk Douglas Die? Check it out.
Hey, Surrey, can you just tell me how he died? Tell me how he died. I know he died of natural causes, but I'm trying to figure out specifically. I know he died of natural causes, but what was the specific thing? Well, I think it had something to do with his heart, and originally this stroke that he had in 1996 that slowed him down. Wow.
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
She doesn't have an answer. I'm gonna look up. They keep saying it's natural causes, and some of it says, yeah, ever since his stroke, he tried to be a good person again, apparently. I'm gonna look up heart. You know, natural causes could be anything. Died in his sleep or something. Like, wow, he actually had a heart attack in 1989. Kept living for another 30 years. He's very. He said he found living with a family of him and six sisters in poverty to be limiting, and he said he was dying to get out. He wanted to get out there and do stuff. He said he was dying to get out. I wonder when he said that. If he was actually dying when he said that, and that was how he talked, or if he just said it as a joke when he was younger, when he was much younger, probably joking about it, because that stuff doesn't really come true if you talk in the. I was just curious to see how he is. Maybe some people don't care; they think he was just some random guy. But he he had an effect on the way America is, and he had an effect on the way the world is through media. And he got into philanthropy later in life, and literally stood up for certain causes and stuff that are important in the world. Some would say, and important to him, like ending poverty, some other more controversial ones, and maybe he had stood up for the opposite of him during his life out there, being around people and stuff, and he wanted to make sure everything was okay and have his conscience okay, and not just his conscience, but be kind to others anyone he may have hurt, which he says he did since his stroke. Since his stroke, he worked as a janitor before. He worked as a janitor when he was very young, pretty young, in his 20s. He got a special scholarship to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City, which is a better school than I went to. So I don't want to compare myself to him. Which is seen as a, but Douglas joined the Navy during World War II. He was in the Navy during most of World War II. Then he did movies. Did something right after World War II. He did. This makes no sense. Well, oh, okay. So I guess he wasn't constantly in a giant tour overseas. Um, he was in the Navy, and I believe he did fight in World War II, but he came back and was doing some acting and stuff. In 1943, he was in Richard in a play, a stage play, Kiss and Tell or something. 1943, or Richard Widmark, some other older American looking guy. He was friends with a big movie star, and she got him his first film role. And ooh, he was somehow, yeah, he met people and stuff, and then he got pretty big. He got as big as you can get. He has, hey, I think he knew. Oh no, he may have met my grandfather when he was just a regular policeman, or had worked his way up the ranks somewhat, or a little bit. I don't know. Because in 1951 he starred in Detective Story, nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including one for Lee Grant and her, whoever that is, debut film. Grant said Douglas was this and that. He was a big, she said he was a big star, gorgeous, intense, and stuff like that. And then he said to prepare for the role in Detective Story, he spent days with the police department, the New York Police Department, the NYPD, the New York Police Department, and sat in on interrogations. So he could have met my grandfather, who was working as a policeman at the time in New York. Um, anyway, you don't have to be some really big person on earth. It's kind of stupid. It's more about just being kind to others and feeling happy, having, feeling happy. I think that's what it's about. His helicopter collided with a small plane. 2 people in the plane were killed. It's coincidental that Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash. He had a near-death experience that sparked a meaning for him. This was in 1991, which led him, after much study, to embrace Judaism, the Judaism in which he had been raised. He documented this spiritual journey in his book, Climbing the Mountain: My Search for Meaning. 10 years later, after his helicopter crash. He tried to forget that he was a Jew when he was working later in life, when he was much older, I guess in his 70s, not that much older, but his 70s, in 1991, his 70s, he went back to how he was when he was growing up in poverty with his father and stuff, growing up, and his father and his 6 sisters, when he was raised Jewish, and he went back to being more, I guess, kind. I guess he was more kind, but it doesn't say that in particular, unless I'm sure it says something that's in his book, Climbing the Mountain: My Search for Meaning, that he released, that was out in 2001, so it was in his 80s when 10 years later. Judaism, he said in 2000, Judaism and I parted ways a long time ago. When I was a poor kid growing up in Amsterdam, New York, back then I was pretty good in cheddar, a traditional elementary school teaching the basics of Judaism and the Hebrew language. So the Jews of his community thought they would do a wonderful thing and collect enough money to send him to a yeshiva to become a rabbi. He said, "Holy Moses, that scared the HELL out of me." I didn't want to be a rabbi. I wanted to be an actor. Believe me, wow, he did. Way back then, he wanted to be an actor. Believe me, the members of the sons of Israel were persistent. I had nightmares wearing long payos. Payos are their sideburns. I'm reading it right now. Payos are their side. I didn't know it was called that because I'm not raised Jewish. Um, those sideburns are curly. He had nightmares of having those long curly sideburns and wearing a black hat, and he had to work very hard to get out of it. He says he thinks, I guess, but he had to be kind to himself and to his loved ones, and maybe he just had a different balance of it, or I don't know. And it took him a long time to learn that you don't have to be a rabbi to be a Jew. He was so afraid. He thought that meant Douglas noted that the underlying theme of the song of his films was about including the juggler, cast the giant juggler in 1953, cast the giant shadow in 1966, and remembered so of 1982 was about a Jew. The whole time he's married in a long-term relationship or in love. It was that woman that he's married to. He thought that he noted that not just what he thought, but the underlying theme of those films was about a Jew who doesn't think of himself as one and eventually finds his Jewishness. He filmed The Juggler in Israel. For him, this was like particular to him being kind to, I guess, his parents and sisters. I don't know what his mother was like, but his father, who happened to be Jewish. And Douglas recalls that while there, he saw extreme poverty and food being rationed, but he found it wonderful finally being in the majority. His producer, somebody or another, trying to portray Israel as the Jews, heroic response to Hitler's destruction or something. Which is good because Hitler's terrible, or was terrible. All those children had non-Jewish mothers. Whoa. He really got away from Judaism because he didn't pass it down to, well, he may have passed it down to his children, but they're kind of supposed to have Jewish mothers. Douglas stated that they were aware culturally of his deep convictions, and he never tried to influence their own religious decisions. Never tried to do that. Douglas's wife Anne converted to Judaism before they renewed their wedding vows in 2004. Hey, she finally became like him, like how he was raised with his parents and everyone. His wife converted to Judaism. Hey, that's pretty good. When they renewed their wedding vows, they've been together a long time, and then he died, just when he was really old. He had a second bar mitzvah at age 83 in the 90s. So he really got back into his the way he was supposed to be kind like to his loved ones growing up, which he had gotten away from apparently a little bit, unless that was just a religious getting away from them, but maybe he was still close to them. I don't know. It doesn't say, but that's what I'm guessing, but I don't know if it's true. Wow, he donated $15 million. Harry to an Alzheimer's treatment facility, an Alzheimer's treatment facility in Woodland Hills. He donated him and his wife donated up to $40 million to an Alzheimer's treatment facility, which I don't know if that had anything to do with his father having Alzheimer's or not. I don't know, but I don't know how many people it helped. If it all helps his father, I'm going to look up his father. And then he later, um, in 20, like a few years ago, he donated another 15 million to help expand the facility, Harry's Haven, to help Alzheimer's treatment. Help Alzheimer's treatment. We're gonna look up Kirk Douglas' father, Herschel Danielovich. I'm gonna look up his father, see if his philanthropy and getting back to Judaism had something to do with how his father was. Kirk Douglas's father, who died at the age of 65 or 66. Wow. They show a Yiddish name. His father, they happen to be Jewish, is their thing that they were doing at the time. Not as much when he was in Hollywood, because Hollywood was not really as Jewish. He was one of the first, big movie star people in the 40s. He graduated college in 1939. He got to go to a college, but he was poor growing up. Maybe he had to work to get into college. I'm not sure. His father died about 60 something years old. They're not sure about his exact year of birth. His parents were Jewish immigrants in the Russian Empire. And the family spoke Yiddish at home. Yiddish. Because he was Jewish, and I guess they spoke English too. But a lot of Americans were whatever. That's something else. I don't know if that's that important. He's obviously like really American. He was born in America. Maybe they kind of remembered some of the old stuff and talked about it here and there, or his parents said it here and there. But that might be something small. Apparently, he's very American. He's born here and speak. Whether or not he's born here, he just he speaks perfect English and is very American. He fought in World War II. Fought in World War II. His father was a horse trader in Russia. And he became a rag man, buying old rags, pieces of junk for pennies, nickels, and dimes. That's terrible. He said even in the poorest part of town where families were struggling, the ragman was on the lowest rung of the ladder, and he was the ragman's son. That's what he says. But who knows if that's true or not. Or, according to his father. who knows if that's true or not, according to his father. So who knows if that's true or not, comma, according to his father, who knows if that's true or not. So it's one of those. I'm not making too much of a comment on whether or not it's true, but Douglas first wanted to be an actor after he recited the poem The Red Robin of Spring while in kindergarten and received applause, which could have been from his parents. Something inside him that made him feel happy that was related to something about his parents that he wasn't aware of, maybe. He sold snacks. He did stuff. He did work growing up to help his family when he was a kid, according to him, or according to someone. He said it lit a fire under him to be poor, and he wanted to work to get better than that. He acted in plays in high school, and he knew in high school he wanted to be a professional actor. I don't know how much of this is. It says that he showed the dean at some university. I don't know. It says he got into I don't know what he did in high school really, but it said that he was very popular and had honors, and it got him into college. By my senior year in high school, I was not doing as well. I could not concentrate. I didn't know how to concentrate as well, and I got kind of bad grades my senior year. My other years I was okay. My parents raised me to do schoolwork, and I was okay. B average, maybe like a low B average or B average. But my senior year, I kind of just barely made it. And then I had to go to community college and get my grades up and do all the work myself. I couldn't concentrate as well, so I would just do all the work and learn it after school. And then I learned how to concentrate in school. Some things I was interested in, I could understand, and I worked harder at it and got into good schools. He was married to some other famous person. Oh no. Oh, an aspiring actress. She was the mother of Michael Douglas and Joel Douglas. Maybe that was his soulmate, but it's hard to say.